Is your kickstand too short? Does your bike really lean over? Then try one of these. Stick around to see how. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. I think I can get rid of that now. If your bike really leans over and you think your kickstand is too short, then one of the ways you can fix that is using a hockey puck. Now, before you tune out, because you see that I have a KTM 390 Adventure here, I will let you know that I used this on my BMW F800 GS years ago. That kickstand is really short in its stock form. I hated how far it leaned over, and I sandwiched one of those in the kickstand there, and it worked great. But now that I've got the fork extensions on my KTM 390 Adventure, and it's leaning really far and the kickstand is now too short, I wanted to go over with you on how to use a hockey puck to lift up your bike so it's not leaning as far as this is. Now, one of the reasons I want to do this is I like to step on the foot peg to get on, especially when I'm fully loaded. Kicking my foot all the way over the top or doing some sort of karate kick to get my foot through. It's not great for me. I'm not super flexible. And in more than one occasion, I have gotten cramps in my hamstring from kicking my boot up and over. So I prefer to step and go over. Now, the problem that I've had is I actually bent the short kickstand by stepping on it and monkeying around doing another video. So I've also had to purchase a new kickstand, but that makes it easy to show you how to use hockey puck and one of these foot extenders to get some extra height on your kickstand. Now, I'm actually going to sandwich this between two kickstand extenders just because I think it'll fit better. But I can tell you on my F800 GS, I did not do that. The plate that was on there, it made it easy just to drill a couple holes in this and then put the plate over the top and the foot on the bottom, and it worked perfectly. So there's a couple things that we have to take into consideration when we do this, and I will get to that when we get to the end. But if your kickstand is too short like this is here, I'm going to go over real quick on how to use the hockey puck, drill some holes, get it sandwiched in there, and be done. So let's get on to getting this fit properly, the length of screws or bolts that I've had to use for this, and get it mounted to this new kickstand before we put this on the bike. First thing I'm going to do in order to get this hockey puck sandwiched in here between these two is I'm going to go ahead and remove this first one. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be a little bit clunky. It's going to be a little bit big, but I do think that the spring on the kickstand will be more than enough to keep it up. And hockey pucks don't weigh a whole lot. I think actually this foot extender may weigh more than the hockey puck. So we're going to get this put together and go from there. This is the kickstand foot I put on, I don't know, probably 3 years ago. And it didn't quite fit exactly. I think this was maybe for a 500 EXC. But the footprint for most KTMs are pretty close, but it didn't quite fit. So I did have to carve this out with a Dremel in order to get it to fit. So I'm going to keep this as the top part of the sandwich here. And one of the things I'm going to have to do in order to get this to work is I'm going to have to drill these holes out so that my other bolts will slip through and thread into the bottom foot. Now there's some extra space in this bottom foot. Don't really care about that. You could, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to do the full sandwich like I'm going to do between the two, is you could carve the hockey puck out. And when I did the F800 GS, that's what I did is I took a Dremel tool and I carved a little piece in here to get it to fit up. Now, the reason I'm not doing it on this bike is I want that full thickness in the foot. Now, if it ends up being too heavy and my kickstand's flopping around a little bit because the spring's not holding it up, well, then I may have to consider reducing it and maybe carving the hockey puck out. But for now, I'm going to leave it the way it is. And there's some other tricks that we'll go through on how to get everything to work and function the way we need it to. All right, the first thing I wanted to do is make sure that the new bolts that I purchased are going to be long enough, and they are. I've got everything kind of sandwiched in here. I will likely have to cut the bottom of it off after it goes through. I don't know, it may be close. If you're wondering what size to use, if you're going to do exactly the same thing I'm doing here, this is an M5 by 0.80 by 50. So 50 millimeter of length thread is 0.8, and the size is M5. I couldn't find a tapered head. I just went with what I could get at the hardware store. So what I need to do now that I know that this is going to be on there is figure out what the configuration I want for the hockey puck itself, where I want the mass of that hockey puck to sit. So I'm going to work with a couple different configurations, and then I'll come back and show you what I've decided. One of the things I got to do is I need to drill these holes out so that this bolt will slide in and out as it mates up, because I can't thread this in and then try to get it to thread into this side at the same time and be able to get it tight. So I'm just going to drill this one out, drill the old one out, and then that way that'll slip through and then it'll tighten up around the new bottom one. So let's do that. One more try with the new 7/32 inch drill bit. All right, that's the right size. Make sure our bolt goes through perfectly. All right, so what I've settled on is I'm going to put the 2 bolt holes through this side of the puck to get as much surface area on there. There is a 3rd bolt hole, but the hockey puck just isn't big enough to cover all this. So I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to set this in the vise and drill these 2 holes. If you've never drilled into a hockey puck after you drill it, sometimes it kind of seals back up, so you may not be able to see the holes real well, but you should still be able to push a bolt through that. So let's do that. Okay. All right, holding this in place, I'm going to set this underneath. Actually, I want to set this on here. I'm just going to set this on here loosely, and so I can still slide the kickstand in there. I'm going to push this through so I don't lose the position in the hockey puck. Set that through. All right, new kickstand. Slide in there, and then I'll just go ahead and bolt the bottom up. It's probably easier not to try to do it on camera because it's a bit awkward. That's new kickstand, and this will be the block. All right, it's time to remove the old kickstand to put the new one on. And really the most challenging thing with this process is likely going to be getting the spring off. Now, for any of you that have worked on drum brakes, you may recognize this as the spring tool. So I think I'm just going to try to use this to lift the spring off, and also use this to put the spring back on. So we'll give that a try. I don't think it'll be too difficult. It's pretty tight space in here, so it's going to be a little bit harder to film, but you could also use some pliers just to lift the spring off. I don't think it's going to be on that difficult. So let's see what we can do. That popped right off with that. I do think you can get it off with some pliers pretty easily. The bolt on here to take the old kickstand. Wow, that's really sloppy. To take the old kickstand off is a 17, so I'm going to get that done. Kickstand is off. On the back side of the kickstand is the magnetic sensor that just fits behind there, and then there's a locking nut that holds it in place that goes over your nut that holds the kickstand on. So I'm going to put the new kickstand on. I'm going to put the magnetic sensor back on. I got the kickstand in place. Next thing I need to do is just get the spring. So I'm going to use my little brake tool here because it has a little cutout notch, and grab the pin and slide it on, and it's that easy. So kickstand is on. Okay, all done. I've got the hockey puck in there, giving me some extra height on my kickstand, a little bit extra length. Of course, if you have a welder and can cut pipe and have pipe that goes around this that's the right size, that'd be a much more elegant solution to lengthen this. Don't have a welder. I could probably find a way to cut it, but I don't have pipe that would go over that I could extend the kickstand. There's other options. I even looked at buying a KTM 890 or 790 Adventure, the standard base model kickstand, but the design was a little bit different, so I don't think it would fit on here, even though it would give me the length that I want. There's also some custom adjustable length kickstands that you can get for your bike. The ones that I saw, and I'll try to leave a link or a picture of it in here, I think it was anywhere from $130 to $250. And that's a lot. So I think with the extra foot enlarger for the kickstand and the hockey puck, and with shipping and handling, it's like $24 to try this solution. I will have to see if it's banging on the swing arm, make sure I take care of that. Maybe just put some moleskin on the swing arm where it's touching so it doesn't damage it if that is happening. Anyway, if you have any other ideas or maybe you've done something to extend your kickstand, leave that in the comments below. If you've done this yourself, let me know what that experience is. I know on my F800 GS, it worked great. I never had any issues with it flopping over, even over rough terrain with that added weight. So it worked, which is why I'm doing it here. If you stayed to the end, thanks, I really appreciate it. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Thanks for watching. Get out, do some riding, ride safe, and I will see you out there.